Hello and welcome to CX Today. My name is Charlie. I'm the senior editor here, and I'm thrilled today to be joined by Blair Ferguson, the Chief of Staff at ComputerTalk. Blair, thanks very much for joining me. How are you doing?
Thanks, Charlie. I'm doing great, and thank you so much for having me here today.
Absolutely. Well, it's really great to talk to you. And I'm excited today to talk about how contact centers can compare different CCaaS providers and what they might miss along the way. So maybe the best place to start this conversation is by talking a little bit about how contact centers typically weigh up different CCaaS players. And that often involves creating like a checklist of must-have features on which they can compare vendors on. Now that's one way of doing it, but maybe there are some flaws within that checkbox process that buyers use to assess their CCaaS platforms. And do you potentially see any issues within that process?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something I'm actually really excited and passionate to talk to you about today. So, we're noticing in the market, and I'm sure, all those folks watching that are in the process of purchasing new CCaaS solutions, the procurement process is getting very complex, and buyers are including cross functional groups in the decision making. And often, what we see happening is that each team, each group has a laundry list of features that they want to include in that procurement process, and these RFPs just become so long and so big. And it's a yes, no kind of procedure to go through. And what's fascinating about it is, chances are when a buyer is going to market to get a new solution, they're replacing something that's already there. It's often a legacy refresh, let's say. And so we encourage buyers that go through this process to really take the time to understand what their current needs are, what their soon to be needs are, and then of course what their future needs are, and to wait out those evaluations and those check boxes based on those things. Most vendors going through this process, and I can speak from experience, are going to tell you that they can do it all. They can hit all those boxes in some way or another. Of course, some vendors are going to be better at them than others. And so I think it's really important when you go through the process to spend the time on really understanding your business needs today and in the future, and assessing your vendor beyond just the technology tick boxes that all the teams that you're trying to coordinate want to have in there. Are they easy to work with? What are their people like? What is their service level like? Contact center as a service is not a one and done type purchase. This is, you're going to be signing multi-year contracts. You're going to be working with these people, with these teams, and your contact center represents your brand. So it's really important that you think about the type of organization, the type of people, and especially the service that you're going to get beyond just the technology when you're refreshing or modernizing your customer experience.
Hmm. Yeah, that's lots of really great points in there. And it makes me think of a story I heard quite recently about a supermarket chain here in the UK that created a similar checklist for their CCaaS platform. And they noted down that they wanted to QA within their solution. And then the CCaaS vendor said, "Oh, we've got that, let's tick it off." But when it actually came back to the QA team, they realized it didn't have half of the features and functionalities that they actually required.
Yeah.
So there's that problem within the checklist format, but also all those others. It doesn't kind of reflect the people or the organization services and things like that often too. So lots of really great points there. And I also do want to talk a little bit about integrations as well, because business will often kind of say, "Oh, great, they have this integration," and stop there, but they don't maybe look deeper at the relationship between those two kind of integrating vendors. Is that also a big concern, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, getting back to kind of those tick boxes, we often see a client saying, I have ServiceNow, or I have Dynamics, or I have
Mm.
Salesforce, and I want my CCaaS solution to connect or integrate. My advice would be to really understand which are those core platforms that you've already invested in, that you're likely already in multi-year contracts with, and how you're using them internally in your business. And even beyond just which are the most important, really understanding how your users are interacting with them. What fields are they using? What information are they pulling? Are they getting the right information popped at the right time? And then working with your CCaaS vendor to make sure that that custom connection is really made. Just simply saying, yes, we work with Salesforce through a webhook or something like that is often not enough. It's the quality of that information that you are popping. And many different vendors are going to do that in all sorts of different ways. And really investing in the customization of leveraging those existing platforms and environments, I think is key. We actually see it a lot when it comes to the Microsoft Teams ecosystem and infrastructure. We see a lot of buyers going to Microsoft saying, I want a contact center that, integrates natively with Microsoft. And Microsoft, being the marketing behemoth they are, has a beautiful web page where all the logos of all the vendors that claim that they do this type of integration are listed. And buyers will simply go down the laundry list of different vendors and reach out. Do you do Microsoft for Teams? Do you do integration? I think it's really important to dig beyond just ticking that box, because that Microsoft integration piece is really a tick box item for a lot of purchasers. And ComputerTalk, for example, has been working with Microsoft since 2003 in the capacity of vendor, technology adoption partner, and even customer. And so the level of connectivity, integration, and really leverage that we do with the entire Microsoft platform goes beyond just that tick box item that says, do you work with Microsoft Teams? And we often find that our clients want more than just a simple webhook. They want their agent experience to be living right within Teams and not having to kind of flip between screens and things like that. So I use that as an example of a way that you can really dig in and demo and trial how you're going to leverage that major investment that you've likely made in your UC platform, in your knowledge platform, in your CRM, or whichever platform really that is kind of the heartbeat of access that your agents have.
Yeah, I think that Microsoft Teams example is the perfect example, really. In CCaaS, there's so much convergence happening currently with UCaaS platforms like Teams and CRM systems too. So I think, yeah, really great point. And I also do want to reflect a little bit. We mentioned the quality of the services earlier and how critical that is within the CCaaS decision making. I don't know, maybe if you can share some advice about what contact centers should look for within a CCaaS vendor's support services.
Again, this is something I'm super passionate about as the chief of staff and as a people-oriented person. I really think it all comes down to people want to work with other people that they like, that they trust, and that they can rely on. And there's only so much of that you can test out through paperwork, tick boxes, and lists, right? So of course, when you're evaluating a vendor, you want to look at the implementation, you want to look at the project plans, you can ask for resumes of folks and do all these things. And similarly, on the support side, there's going to be tick lists. There's going to be, disaster recovery, high availability, security, uptime, responsiveness, all these kind of things, 24/7 support. And that's definitely important. And I certainly don't want to glaze over making sure that those things exist. But I would really recommend taking it a little bit further. Ask if you can interview folks that you could be working with in the future. Try to assess whether or not the culture of the vendor really aligns with yours. Do you expect instant responsiveness? How big of a client are you in comparison to the other clients that they're servicing? And how do you know that you're going to get that white glove service? In the world of technology, and you know this, Charlie, there's blips. Things happen. Networks have blips. Telephony has blips. But it's really how a vendor is going to work with you and be that extension of your team, that technology ally to kind of provide that consultative support and service as you go through the rollout. You have to think long beyond the launch. Think about the journey of what you're doing and how you're going to modernize and how the vendor that you're working with is going to get you there and really become an extension of your team, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, lots of great points there. And I really actually like the idea of kind of interviewing the people that you're going to be that you'll potentially be working with before you start working with them. And also kind of getting insight into their roadmaps too, I think is an interesting point. I think I was speaking to somebody about this recently. Looking at the vendor's release notes, I always think is a good way to see whether they'll deliver on that roadmap. But yeah, there's lots of ways we can take this conversation, and we've already covered so much ground and lots of really great points. But maybe as a final question, I don't know if you could share any other kind of final guidance, any key points that spring to mind that you would like to give to CCaaS buyers to help guide them to the best place platform for them.
Absolutely. I think I really want to reiterate that this is a technology, and technology is simply a conduit to solving your business problems. So really focus on the business problems. Really understand that when it comes to customer experience, that should be the kind of forefront of everything that you think about. Your contact center is a representation of your brand to your own clients. It could be a revenue generation tool for you to continue to build your business. And so really hone in on what matters and how you want to get there and the experience that you want to provide to your end clients. There's a lot of cool tech out there, a lot of cool tech. Doesn't necessarily mean, though, that it's going to provide the best experience to your clients. At the end of the day, people want to know that their issues are resolved quickly and to their satisfaction. And you can put lots of really neat AI functionality into things, but those fundamental business problems should really be at the forefront of the decisions that you're making. And the technology is simply the layer that's going to help you get there. And secondly, and my most passionate part, is that this is a relationship. This is a long-term commitment. Contact center can be a beast to implement. It is quite complex. There are so many different moving pieces. There's IT people, business people, procurement people, finance people, everybody involved in this business process. And so you want to make sure that the team that you're working with really understands how all those pieces come together and really treat you as though you're actually part of their team. They are an extension of your team. Make sure that you have executive sponsorship, that there's somebody from the vendor that you can pick up the phone and call, that there's a client advocacy program that can work with you to make sure that you are, up to speed on the cool new things that vendors are releasing, or that if you have any piddly problems that, maybe you just don't feel like you're getting resolved quickly, there's somebody there to talk to, that you have influence on roadmap or on design. Often, we have an advocacy program where we rely on our clients to tell us, does this look good? Does this work well? We'll go and work with them and say, hey, show us how you use ICE. How are your power users using ICE, so that we can develop a shared experience, or that we can take their experiences and share it with the wider ICE community. And so to us, our clients really are an extension of our team. And I'm so proud that 50% of our staff have been with us for 10 plus years. And I think that's a big differentiator in the market. It says, we're doing something right from a culture perspective. And I think people genuinely enjoy working here. But more than that, they forged really long relationships with our customers. So much so that we've hired a few of our customers to join our team and provide consulting services to additional folks that are interested in bringing on board the platform. So it's more than technology. Technology is the conduit. It's important. It does the productivity. You want to make sure it works. But this is a relationship. This is a long-term commitment. And this isn't something that you want to be swapping out every 3 years if you don't have to. So I think it's very important to take the time and the diligence to evaluate the business beyond the technology. Get those boxes clicked. Make sure that, it's a decent solution, a good solution, and meets your business requirements. But more than that, think about how everyone likes dealing with people in the good times, but think about what the bad times might look like, or the tough times. Maybe bad's not the right word, the tough times, and how that vendor is going to show up for you and be there for your business and treat your business with the respect and significance that they would treat their own.
And I think that trust is such a huge aspect of it. I know there's a lot of vendors in the CCaaS space right now, but the ability to kind of deliver that white glove service, I think, because of there's such a big market, it's going to become increasingly and key. And as you said, deliver kind of a customer focused roadmap too, and have that advocacy program. I thought that was really an excellent point too. But again, I keep focusing on lots of different points, but I mean, I think we've covered so much ground. It's been a fantastic conversation. So thanks very much for joining me today, Blair.
Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me a chance to talk about my passion in this area. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a great conversation. Really appreciated you joining me today, Blair. And I appreciate everybody for watching this too. Bye for now.